In the next video, that is video number 4, Professor Saab, I would like to know if there are any other persons that have impressed you, that have influenced your career and personality, and you may like to speak about them.
So far as my personality is concerned, my biggest influence and inspiration was my father, who was a lawyer and a religious scholar. He had expertise in both these subjects, and his thinking, his ideas, which were a bit conservative in the matter of religion, they had to begin with a lot of influence on my life and thinking. But gradually, when I became independent of my family and was free to think of matters of myself independently without any pressure or from the family, then I would remember, the first name I would remember was Professor Asaf Ali Asghar Faizi, who was a professor of jurisprudence in the Government Law College, Bombay. I was never his student, but his books were my first guide to understanding of Muslim law. And with a modern approach, he had written a number of books on Muslim law. So he influenced me a lot. And then the second name I would remember is of my teacher in England, Sir Norman Anderson, who also was a specialist in Muslim law. And I had met him first in 1964 in Aligarh when I was studying there, and since then I had been in contact with him, and when I reached England for my research, I requested him to assist me, to guide me in my research work, which he gladly did, and his work on Muslim law also has influenced me a lot. A third name I would like to mention here was Professor J.D.M. Derrett. He was a professor of Hindu law at the world famous School of Oriental and African Studies in London. And his book, Modern Hindu Law, came out in 1972, in which he had cited a couple of my articles on Hindu law published in the Journal of the Indian Law Institute. I had written a letter of thanks to him for citing me in his book. He was a great authority then, and I was a novice in the subject, but he cited me with appreciation. So I wrote a letter of thanks to him, and he was one of the first persons I met on reaching London. And although my research subject in London was not Hindu law, but I kept meeting him, attended his LLM classes, and also took his guidance whenever necessary. One more name, if there is time permits, I would like to mention, was Sir Alan Gledhills, the very famous scholar of Indian law. He was the first jurist anywhere in the world to write the first book on the Indian Constitution when it was introduced in 1950. So he was in his 90s when I reached England, and I met him and requested him to be my research guide. But he was a very practical person. He said, by the time you finish your PhD, I will be either down there or up there, so don't make me your guide. He said it in a lighter way, but then he did die while I was still working in London. But his work in constitutional law has also been one of my big inspirations.
That's all very good, Professor Tahir Mahmood, because you still hold in high regards these persons who came across your life span at different times and helped you. Thank you very much, and this brings us to the end of video number 4, and the next video we would be looking and hearing your views about Shero Shairi. Thank you.